This is going to make sure that they return with dignity. All right, fine. We don't care. Send your presidential airplane. Send all your Congress people's airplane. We don't care. Come pick them up. Get them out. Says, I can't believe you. I'm not surprised that you kneel, but I prefer that you kneel before the mothers of the victims of the dump. He's just like lost it. President Trump is putting America first, just like he said he would. And Congress will implement policies that reinforce his agenda. The Colombian president got the old Trump backhand and deserved every bit of it because he's refusing, or was refusing, to accept his own citizens back. Now he's reversed course immediately. And this is who he is, Gustavo Petro. You can see he's the president of Colombia all the way through 2026. And here's what he was posting on X. We translated it. Trump was saying, we're rounding up people. We know Tom Homan and the rest of our government is now springing into action to deport illegal immigrants and aliens who should not be in this country back to their home countries. And Colombia was one of them. So the Colombian president said the U.S. cannot treat Colombian migrants as criminals. Okay, well, they're in our country illegally. So how about we do? He says, I deny the entry of American planes carrying Colombian migrants into our territory. The United States must establish a protocol for the dignified treatment of migrants before we receive them. That was from him specifically. Trump said, oh, okay, well, here's my response to you. He posted on Truth, he said, I was just informed that 2 repatriation flights from the United States with a large number of illegal criminals were not allowed to land in Colombia. This order was given by Colombia's socialist president, Gustavo Petro, who is already very unpopular amongst his people. Petro's denial of these flights has jeopardized the national security and public safety of the United States. So I, President Trump, have directed my administration to immediately take the following urgent and decisive retaliatory measures. Emergency: 25% tariffs on all goods coming into the United States. In 1 week, the tariffs will be raised to 50%. A travel ban and immediate visa revocations on the Colombian government officials and all allies and supporters. Visa sanctions on all party members, family members, and supporters of the Colombian government. Enhanced customs and border protection inspections of all Colombian nationals and cargo on national security grounds, and IEEPA treasury, banking, and financial sanctions to be fully imposed. These measures are just the beginning. We will not allow the Colombian government to violate its legal obligations with regard to the acceptance and return of the criminals they forced into the United States. Not playing around, right? And the rest of the government sprung into action on this. Marco Rubio, new Secretary of State, jumped in and said, all right, President Trump has made it clear that under his administration, America will no longer be lied to nor taken advantage of. It is the responsibility of each nation to take back their citizens who are illegally present in the United States in a serious and expeditious manner. Colombian President Petro had authorized flights and provided all needed authorizations and then canceled his authorization when the planes were in the air. As demonstrated by today's actions, we are unwavering in our commitment to end illegal immigration and bolster America's border security. And Rubio came out and authorized all these visa restrictions, like immediately. The State Department will continue to enforce and prioritize America first. Following Petro's refusal to accept 2 repatriation flights he previously authorized, Secretary Rubio immediately ordered a suspension of visa issuance at the U.S. Embassy Bogota consular section. Secretary Rubio is now authorizing travel sanctions on individuals and their families who were responsible for the interference of U.S. repatriation flight operations. Measures will continue until Colombia meets its obligations to accept the return of its own citizens. America will not back down when it comes to defending its national interests. Signed by your friend Marco Rubio. Now, what happened in the immediate aftermath of this is a little bit of a reversal of course. So the president threw a hissy fit from Colombia and just went on this ranting screed. And Trump does this to people. Like, this guy just goes nuts. Okay, look at this entire post about all this. Just going bananas. He says, Trump, I don't even like traveling to the U.S., okay? It's boring. But I confess there are some commendable things. And going like this. I like going to black neighborhoods of Washington, where I saw an entire fight in the U.S. Capitol between blacks and Latinos with barricades, which seems like nonsense to me because they should join together. Whatever. I like Walt Whitman, Paul Simon, Noam Chomsky. I like some other people who were murdered with the electric chair. I don't like your oil, Trump, because of your greed, blah, blah, blah. So if you know anyone who's stubborn, that's me. You can try to carry out a coup with our economic strength and your arrogance like I did, but I will die in my law. I resisted torture and I'll resist you. You will kill me, but I will survive in my people. This is the president of Colombia. You will kill me, but I will survive in my people, which is before yours in the Americas. You don't like our freedom? Okay. Well, I don't shake hands with white slavers. You shake hands with white libertarian heirs shares of Lincoln and the black and the white farm boys and blah, blah, blah. Overthrow me, Trump, and the Americas and humanity will respond. Like, guys, going nuts. You will never rule us. The warrior who rode our lands, shouting freedom, is called Bolivar. From today on, Colombia is open to the entire world with open arms. We are builders of freedom, life, and humanity. And I'm going to tariff you. I am informed that you impose a 50% tariff on our labor, and so I tariff you 50% back. Let our people plant corn that was discovered in Colombia and feed the world. All right, so just like, all right, man, are you okay? Like, somebody needs to talk to that dude. Like, take his phone away from him because he's gone mental. What the hell's he talking about over there? So he continues on, and then we get an immediate response. All right, so after that little psychopath screed, he turns around. He's like, you know what, actually, how about I send my presidential airplane to go pick them up so that we'll pay for it? So then the president, Gustavo Petro, reposted this message from Presidencia Colombia. It said, attention, President Gustavo has now dispatched the presidential airplane for the return with dignity of the people assembled and deported from America. The presidential airplane is now going to go pick them up. Remember when Trump said that they were going to pay for it? They're paying for it. They sent their friggin' presidential airplane to get criminals out of our country. Incredible. You can see here, this is their official communication from Bogota. The government of Colombia confirms their participation in the CELAC, which will convene on the 30th of January. This is going to allow us to fix the problems in the region with our members. And now the government of Colombia, under the direction of Gustavo, has requested the presidential airplane to facilitate the return of the people who have been detained. They're going to come back tomorrow, prepared for deportation. This is going to make sure that they return with dignity. All right, fine. We don't care. Send your presidential airplane. Send all your Congress people's airplane. We don't care. Come pick them up. Get them out. Thank you for abiding by our requests. And so there's now a ruckus happening internally in Colombia, which has been fun because this guy, Fico Gutierrez, he responded. Okay, this guy must be a politician or somebody over there. He's got 1 million followers. He responded to the president. He says, I propose that we send people to Washington to ensure that the United States government that's headed by Trump understands that Petro doesn't represent us. The United States has been an ally of ours for over 100 years during different administrations. Colombia is one of the great allies there, from Medellin to others. The United States is punishing Petro, his government, and his party allies. They're leading us to leap into the void without a parachute. The arrogance of this guy, Petro, is causing an entire country to be punished today with tariff measures. All we got to do is close the visa processes. We cannot allow Petro to lead us into a state of isolation like the one achieved by his friends and accomplices in Cuba and Venezuela. And then the president back there, Gustavo, says, I can't believe you. I'm not surprised that you kneel, but I prefer that you kneel before the mothers of the victims of the dump. He's just like lost it. So turns out he is now going to be acquiescing to everything that the president wants. And there were others here responding on this. From Caroline Levitt, she says, the government of Colombia has agreed to all of President Trump's terms. From the press secretary, Caroline Levitt, says the government of Colombia has agreed to all of President Trump's terms, including the unrestricted acceptance of all illegal aliens from Colombia returned from the United States, including on U.S. military aircraft, without limitation or delay. Based on this agreement, the Colombia fully drafted tariffs that they were about to dump on them and the sanctions will be held in reserve and not signed unless Colombia fails to honor this agreement. The visa sanctions issued by the State Department and enhanced inspections from Customs and Border Protection will remain in effect until the first plane load of Colombian deportees is successfully returned. Today's events make clear to the world that America is respected again. President Trump will continue to fiercely protect our nation's sovereignty, and he expects all other nations of the world to fully cooperate in accepting the deportation of their citizens illegally present in the United States. Signed by Caroline Levitt, press secretary for the United States and President Trump. So we also saw Mike Johnson is warning everybody, look, Colombia and all nations should be on notice. Congress is fully prepared to pass sanctions and other measures against those that do not fully cooperate or follow through on requirements to accept their citizens who are illegally in the United States. President Trump is putting America first, just like he said he would, and Congress will implement policies that reinforce his agenda. Now, Trump was also out popping off international diplomacy tweets while he was down at Mar-a-Lago after a round of golf chilling with Marco Rubio. Just chilling, solving problems like this.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. Rubio and President Trump down in Mar-a-Lago just taking care of business, resolving things like it ain't nothing. Here's Homeland. They said, we're on it, Mr. President. Soon as Trump posted the truth, it's done. All right. The whole thing was done basically instantly. Stephen Miller also posted the same thing. And you know how we know it's official is because even Gustavo Petro reposted it. Talking about bending the knee, huh? Yeah, okay. Colombian president retweeted the post about this. It indicates that he endorses the Trump administration, saying this about the deal. Hard to see this as anything but a full capitulation by the Colombian president after he started it. Take your citizens back. Don't play games like this. And this was a good lesson. Let this lesson be learned to everybody else who is not going to be accepting their citizens who are in our country illegally. There will be repercussions for non-compliance.